Welcome to the lecture for Chapter 2, Section 2, Python Type Conversion. By the end of this section, students should be able to explain implicit type conversion in Python and demonstrate explicit conversion using the int, float, and str built-in functions. Implicit type conversion happens automatically in Python when we assign a value to a variable. In cybersecurity tasks like threat scoring and log parsing, data often shifts between integers, floats, and strings. Students should understand that Python makes these conversions seamlessly without causing errors. Let's jump into the Python terminal. So I'm going to go ahead and type Python 3 to drop into the Python shell or terminal. And we're going to create a variable called threat. I'm going to spell it correctly, score, and assign it the value of 3. Now notice when we create this variable and assign the value that we do not have to declare a type. Python is loosely typed and each variable can actually switch between types. So when I hit enter and use the type function and pass in threat score, let me try this again, we get class int here. Python recognizes that 3 is a whole number and automatically declares threat score and assigns the value 3 and classifies the variable as an int. Now we can reassign a value to that threat score like 3.7 and hit enter and run type on it. And now it's a float. Now Python recognizes 3.7 as a float and it makes the threat score variable a float automatically behind the scenes for us. And each variable can shift between types. It was an int and now it's a float. And we can make it a string. So if I hit the up arrow and just wrap this in double quotes, we're passing in a string now. And let's go ahead and use the type function. Notice that threat score is now of type string or str. So this all happens for us behind the scenes. So make sure you understand this concept. Let's jump back into the slides. Now, explicit type conversion is especially important in cybersecurity scripts. User input often arrives as a string, and converting that input into an integer or float ensures that calculations work correctly. For example, we might use the string built-in function when formatting values for logs, the int built-in function when tracking login attempts or scoring, and the float built-in function when handling precise risk values. Let's go ahead and jump into an example here. So remember the input built-in function that we used to capture user input always returns the user input as a string. So let's go ahead and show how that would work. So we can do threat score equals input, enter threat score. Now this prompts the user for a threat score, and I'm going to put in 7.8. Now let's run type on threat score. You can see it's a string, and let's just print out the value. And you can see, oh, it's 3.7. Did I spell threat score? I did. I keep missing the R in threat score. So let's type on threat score. That's a string. Let's go back to prompting the user here. So missing the R here. Threat score. Let's put 7.8. Threat score is a string, and if we print threat score, you can see it's 7.8, and it's a string. It's wrapped in single quotes. Now let me get some real estate back here. All right, so what do? Let's use threat score in a calculation. Let's just say um, threshold or something like that. Mm, let's say level equals our threat score divided by 2. And you can see we cannot divide a string in integer. Threat score is a string, 2 is a literal integer, and you cannot use these in mathematical calculations because we get an error. So we need to explicitly cast threat score to either a float or an int. So let's go ahead and cast it to a float. To do that, we can do threat, let me spell threat score again correctly, equals float threat score. Now we'll run type on the threat score, and you can see that is indeed a float. Now we can use it in mathematical operations, and we can just print out level. If I can spell level correctly, it's 3.9. Now, here's the key. Level will be of type float because Python by default preserves precision. So if I use type on level, you can see it is indeed a float, even though we divided by an integer. Python is smart enough to know that the threat score is a float because we casted it to a float, and therefore Python will preserve precision, and the result is a float. Up next, we're going to take a look at mixed data types.